Well. What do we have here? Looks like we got ourselves a tech rally. Wouldn't you know it? That's just how this market is, guys. You just don't know it. And for anybody that missed that run today, I'm sure they are yelling, yelling as the FOMO is hitting right now. I'm sure to many traders as we're seeing this kind of rip up. And this is just how the market can go. It can go when you least expect it. And something even better is that it doesn't even give you a chance to come back. That's the hard part, right? Now, how do you go after stocks like this? Well, it's very hard, right? When you're seeing a move like this in the SPY, quick jump up there towards 449, almost back to 450. I mean, how do you get back in this? Now you need to look for a giant pullback. And this is the hard part of the market. Was anyone expecting this rip up today? I can tell you at least there's not many. And if they are, they were definitely predicting a crazy run like this, or probably looked at insane this morning. I had a feeling that we could probably get a lift in NVIDIA. I talked about that on live trading before the market opened. And I played Soxel today. So that wasn't a bad play outlook. Did I expect it to go to 23, 22s? No, I was playing it down here in just the 2140s and 30s, looking for it to take out and get up there towards the 2240s. It ended up going all the way to 23, 22. So big run up here by the tech names. And a lot of this coming off of what? Of course, a lot of it coming off the backs of what happened with the Grayscale application. Looks like the U.S. District of Columbia Court appealed ruled against the SEC's rejection of Grayscale's investment application for a spot Bitcoin ETF, marking a significant decision, of course, the case importance, as now you'll see the battle between the SEC and this court. Of course, Grayscale's application to convert its Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, into an actual ETF. And look at the rip that this got today, right off of that mention. It came around 1025. Look at that breakout that it had there. Huge breakout, about 18%. And these aren't the only ones that are making moves on here, right? Because there's a lot of kind of things that will come from this, right? How many companies applied for these ETFs? And if one goes through, does all the ETFs go through? And that's one thing that we're seeing right now. Look at BlackRock. BlackRock, of course, you guys can see it here. There's so many that are kind of making this lift right now. And I think that this is definitely interesting to keep an eye out. Look at BlackRock take a nice little lift higher. There's so many here that we can kind of watch in the asset management space to see what happens now. You got Blackstone taking a nice little lift, Fidelity, Wisdom Tree, all these have applied, and Coinbase, right? Coinbase getting the lift also. Look at the kind of the Bitcoin names. Mara today, Riot today, Hut. So many. We were looking at these plays just last week, Mara and Hut. And, we were looking to see what was going to happen in this space. I was thinking that maybe these could get a lift because of the regional bank weakness and the global bank weakness. But man, this Grayscale definitely turning things around here and already giving them the lift. Now, if we see some banking conditions get worse, these could definitely get hit. But today was one of those days where what happened? Well, it seemed like we unwind and just got this huge rally back as they stepped into these AI names, right? Technology taking a huge lead. But it's not only technology. Every sector in the green today, as you're seeing just in everything rally back, even defensives getting the push back. This tells us something, right? That definitely they stepped in and buyers are in this market now. Now, the only question is, can they take it back there to the highs, right? Will we climb right back to the highs that we were just at? Now, I don't think it's going to be just easy ways to keep climbing, but the correction seems like it's done. And now we can keep our names on the leaders. Can they continue to lead? Will NVIDIA just get back through 500 and go higher than 500. Will Microsoft work its way back? You guys can see it's not having the biggest day, but Tesla having a really good day there, up to 256.60s. It just seems to me like definitely they came in, they had their buying shoes, even names like AI getting a little bit of a bounce. So many names getting a lift there. You can see it from ARKK. It just seemed like it was a risk on type of day. And there's so many names up today. I mean, look at Kathy. She only has one name in the red today. That tells us something to keep an eye out. All right, now to catch up with the chat. What's going on? How we doing, Raz? Is this real or is it just another August trick? Well, the truth is we won't know until we get kind of those day two types of moves. I always talk about day one moves. That's what we're catching here. But will we get day two moves? Will we get another move higher tomorrow? If that does happen, that will give me more of the confidence. But the problem is, once you notice that, how far will these stocks be away from their support? That's the hard part of trading. And I think that that's the hard part of dealing with such algorithmic run markets. Today, the algos just were jumping, and just kept going for it and going for it compared to, let's say, human traders and retail traders that probably just didn't want to chase because they'd seen so much chop action. That's exactly how it can happen to you. Pharaoh says, I'm buying Disney with Bitcoin profits today. Hey, shout out to you. I can't buy Disney, but hey, we'll see what happens. Bro, I stopped paying attention around 10 and it just keeps on going. That's the algos taking control. And when the algos have control, they can just keep running this and running this and running this. And of course, what probably happened was some institutions buying the dip, right? That's as easy as it can happen and pushing it right back up. I bought Mara a few days ago, having a blast today. Well, you get that cheese. Where is my cheese, of course? And where's my cheese, man? I was talking about it. Nah, just joking with you, man. Keep that cheese and take that cheese with you, my friend. Shop looking at 59s. Yeah, shop with a big push back. We'll see what happens. Amir in the house. It's good to see you guys. Let's keep going. All good questions, right? Where is that AI that will answer it, right? Let's see. Let's take a look at some of these plays. And then, of course, if you guys have any names you guys want to focus on, please let me know. We can take a look in different areas. There's so much green around that I'm sure you guys have plenty of stocks that you guys want to look at. So keep dropping them in the chat. We'll keep rolling through the market and keep a look out for rotation. First thing is first, right, is technology. This looked like a head and shoulders pattern. I can even show you guys that. Now we're getting through this. And we're getting above the right hand shoulder, which is this area here. If we crack back below that, I would be a little bit concerned. But as long as we can stay above that, we're looking good for some upside coming back up here in technology. What are some names that some industries that did well today? Of course, the semiconductor area started to push right back up. And of course, NVIDIA leading the way there. But you also had TSM up, AVGO, AMD, TXN, Intel. Intel looks actually pretty interesting here as it starts to grind higher. This looks like it wants to go back to 3650s. Doesn't look too bad there. Qualcomm, one that I wanted just recently. Now I'm getting a chance to get it back down into these levels. Doesn't look like a bad level to get it at around the 114. Would need this to drive back through the 130. And there's a couple of other names, of course, you guys can keep an eye out. What about that SMCI that was so strong? How was that bounce today? Wanted to keep an eye out on this and look at the push and pullback that you're getting here in SMCI. Will this kind of recover and get back up there to the 274s? Doesn't look too bad. Something that I'd keep an eye out for, especially if we can have day two names running in tech. We'll see what happens there. Of course, technology definitely getting a nice little lift and a risk off type of day. And whenever you're going to get this big move in the markets, a lot of the times, what are you going to get? You're going to also get a lot of big moves in consumer cyclical. Today, Lennar, the housing stocks continuing to go. And I even see mentions out there for Lennar kind of trying to hire, doing hirings for housing sales. I don't see these stocks getting weak anytime soon. Toll Brothers actually looks like an interesting one to bounce here. We know that Warren Buffett came in here and bought some of the housing stocks. Why would he go in there? Maybe he knows more than we do. I definitely think so. So we'll keep an eye out on these housing stocks if they can keep pushing. All right, consumer cyclical. Of course, you guys can keep your eyes on that area. Leisure bouncing back there. Was actually thinking about taking it, and I should have already just taken the shot there with Norwegian. And I'm looking at this one as I look at the cruise lines get a little bit of a bounce. Will this start to make the move? I was thinking about it today, and I want around 1675 pullbacks. I don't mind this one. We'll just have to keep it on watch. All right, we'll talk a little bit about the Google and the AI talk from Google, but I don't think that was really the necessary thing that helped us run crazy today. I did get some headlines from their event, though. We'll touch it in a second. Basic materials also pushing higher, right? And you can see it's in third place right now. What is doing well there? Well, another good day for silver, but steel and aluminum getting the big lift today. And look at steel. The big players, Nucor, nice little lift higher, right back towards the highs. X at 30.82 and pushing higher. Steel Dynamics getting off of this bottom and starting to push here. MT going higher. We'll see if this can continue to climb. A lot of these steel plays getting a strong move. Copper, silver, building materials. That's definitely an area that I wouldn't give up on building materials. A lot of these can continue to climb, even like this Carrier Global. We'll look to see if this can keep climbing. CRH. There's just so much here that has been getting a nice little push. BLDR had pulled back recently, now turning things around. All right, let's keep going. We could take a look at different areas. Communication services getting a little bit of a push up, and of course we got some upgrades in AT&T and Verizon definitely helping this out today. If you guys didn't catch this came from Citigroup as they upgraded Verizon and also upgraded AT&T in the same day, and big push up. This just continued to grind, and if you look at it, just recently started to really kick off here at 3 p.m. as you're getting continued upside action. And also Charter Communications, right? You guys know what this is. If you guys don't know, this is Spectrum. I actually like this more than any of the charts there for these communication services sector. And look at the strength that this is having. This is actually looking pretty strong here in Spectrum. All right, let's keep going. That's communication services. Then we go to financial services. This was the sign of concern for the market, and I've been keeping an eye on to see what happens on JPM. It didn't just rip today, so that also tells me to keep an eye on it. We'll see if it can start making its way back to 150, and I'm looking at the KRE to see what happens on that. Does it get back above 45, or do we go back to 43? If we do run into some issues with the banks, that's what I think brings this rally right back down. But if we don't run into that problem with the banks, we get continued upside outlook because of Bitcoin ETFs. And we continue to do what? Think that there isn't going to be an interest rate in September, a hike, right? A 25 basis points. Everyone's looking out for the next meeting. Could this give the kind of the airway for the stocks to rip higher again? Yes. And this is why we were always talking about corrections versus the market just completely getting destroyed. I talked about if that did happen, it would have to be because the banks really run into concern and we maybe lose a couple regional banks. We'll see what happens there. Right now, it seems like the KRE and some of these banks are holding in right now, getting a little bit of a bounce. Can they hold in far enough? We'll see what happens. I mean, it just needs to start climbing back. When financials climb and everything is rallying, yeah, we can definitely push these tech stocks higher. All right, that's financial services, and then industrials bouncing back as of late. Deere is one that I talked about yesterday, and Caterpillar. Look at those, had a really nice day, and look at this trend line now that you're going up for Caterpillar as you just went through the 275. This looks excellent for me. I'm going to be looking for pullbacks below 400 or close to 400 tomorrow for Deere to see if maybe I can start getting into this rally. We'll look to see if it pulls back below 401 tomorrow. I'll definitely let you guys know on live trading. And there's a couple of trades here that you guys can keep watch for. We'll see what happens on some of these big cap names, but Also, Boeing doesn't look too bad. We'll see what happens on some of these names if they can continue to push in industrials. GE definitely on the radar. Look at that push back on GE. It's right back up there towards the 115s and looks like it wants to come back through towards 117. This still hasn't turned around and staying strong. Will Honeywell continue to come back? We'll see what happens. This one's definitely lagging a little bit. Let's see if it can work its way back to 200. All right, let's go to some of the names in the chat. Where's my cheese? Wanted to take a look at Ford. Ford, the problem here is I think it could get a pop to maybe like 1250s or 1275. But if you get any news about a strike in these names, Ford, GM, and Stellantis, STLA, right? This could really crush these stocks. And right now, that is on the forefront. I don't know it's going to happen. I've been talking about it for more than a month that these stocks could get wrecked. They already got wrecked ahead of any strikes. If they do go through a strikes, I think they can go through their lows, right? And so you can see to the left, there's lows in kind of the 2021 area about $11. This could easily be back down to pre-pandemic numbers, back into the nines and the single digits for Ford, and GM could be back down below, let's say 30 into the 25s and 20 handle if it gets a big kind of strike, right? And that's one thing that I'm definitely leaving on my mind, and I don't want to get caught in that position. So if I was looking for autos, I'd be looking for different names that didn't have that type of exposure, but just keep that in mind. We'll see what happens. All right. I don't love semis when baby Nvidia is giving it all back. And I mean, let's see how Nvidia is doing now. Let's see if it's starting to push back. I mean, it's starting to turn back a little bit. It hasn't given back all that move. That was a big move today, a 5% run there. All right, let's keep going. We could take a look at some other action. I'm taking this AT&T news personal. I just sold my longs. Hey, Raz, it happens, man. It happens. At the end of the day, AT&T is more about the dividend, I think, to keep focused on, Raz. So if you weren't focused on the dividend in AT&T before, maybe look into it, how much it is, and when do you actually receive it? Because that could definitely be a reason why you stay in a name like that. Marty Wood, what do you think about Adobe? Swing and trade opportunity before earnings. Well, Adobe is one of the stocks that I've talked about can have real AI. And I talked about that when Adobe was right here at 380s. I mean, now you're at 541. This is about 47% higher from when we started to give it the AI appreciation. I don't know if it can continue to run, but I can tell you that at least next stop, it looks like 570s and 560s. So we'll look to see if this can continue to run. It's been a nice little push higher. I remember here we were looking for another push through 500, and that was right there, created on the 30th, updated on July 10th. And where was July 10th? It was right here. So we were looking for this little kind of flag action back through 500, and it's made that push, went to 548, almost 552, pulled back there towards 510, now holding that 550s. Looks like it's in reach. It looks strong right now. I got in at the 477 and holding. Yeah, it looks great there. If I got in at 477, what would I be looking at? Things that I'd be watching. Well, I would just be watching that we don't kind of come back in through this trend line. As long as this trend line can hold now, you're going to be looking pretty strong. Of course, you can make retraces to it, but that's looking pretty strong. And you got what? 1, 2, 3 attempts to go down, reversal higher. Wouldn't want to see it break 510s now, and would like to see it just continue pushing to the next levels. So 510s probably the out on the turnaround. You get back through 500, I'd definitely be concerned. But for right now, 550s and even a little bit higher is starting to look in reach. I could see it getting up there towards the next level, towards this 580, and then up there towards 600. We'll see if it can make the move in Adobe. Apple. Of course, Apple announcing today that their, of course, launch event for their iPhones will be on September 12th. I've talked about how this stock loves to run into that, and I've seen that in the historical past. Will this stock just start to take off there towards 200 is something that I'd keep an eye out. If we can get a day 2 move, yeah, this stock could really start pushing, especially before the launch event, September 12th. All right, let's talk a little bit about Google and Google's AI that was mentioned. It looks like a lot of mentions having to do with, of course, email and AI, and how you were able to kind of bring this in. One thing to note is that the announcement, of course, encompassed new cloud software clients, an upgraded version of AI chips, image watermarking tools, security updates, enhanced software. You guys can have other actions. They expanded AI models to 100, including collaborations with Meta platforms and others. They're also updating Office software and security tools, including a tool to port databases. So there's a lot going on here. Synthetic ID and AI generated image watermarking tool was introduced for tamper proofing. And I think that that's important as you get further and further into AI. We're going to be watching how they can go ahead and do what? Tell us that something is real, that it's not what we call a deep fake in AI. So Google getting a nice little lift higher. I would look for pullbacks towards prior resistance to act as support. So anything moving back towards this line, I like Google here. That's around the 133s. It's pulling back right now around the 135s. Tomorrow, we might get that attempt right back down through the 133. We'll see what happens there. All right, guys, it's 3:56. We got about 4 minutes left here. If you guys have any ticker you guys want to check out, definitely let us know. We'll take a look. All right, let's keep pushing, team. We'll see what else is going on in the market. It seems like there was so many names that went up today. It's really interesting, but also oil going higher. We'll see what happens here. I'm keeping an eye on it, and we're looking like we want to take the next step up. Let's take a look at WTI's action today and see how it's moving right now. I see it around the top end of the range. And where is it? It's at 81 going to 82. We know how that 82 is going to be vital there with WTI, and we'll see it. You see, Chris, I'm way ahead of you, my friend. No worries, Chris. That's what it's all about. I know you're keeping watch on these oil names. Just take a look also at Chevron today. That's interesting for me that this is actually down and not up. So a little part of me is thinking about swinging this into tomorrow because this should have already gotten going. And I like the way that this is looking, but what is going on in Chevron and why it can't get the motor going? I'm not sure, guys. So one thing I'm going to do is I very rarely do this, but why not, guys? Let's go ahead. Let's erase all and see what we see, right? And so let's go to the weekly. What do I see here? I see a nice little trend line that you're trying to break out from, but just can't put in a close above that. So I need a close towards 162, 164. If that happens, Chevron will be looking much better. And you can see also this upsloping support line being able to hold there. Will it make the move to 180s, 170? We'll have to wait and find out. All right, Chevron news. Australia supposedly rioting. Warren left them. Hey, I'm going to have to take a look at Chevron here to see what happens. But Oxy doesn't look too bad above 65. Of course, we were trading some other ones here just recently. MPC. You guys remember I was trading this one and grinding this one higher? Well, I might have sold it a little bit early, but man, what a run there in MPC. Valero recently pulled back and continued going. I had this one up towards 126. It's gotten up there to 135. Will this go back through the 135 and 140 area? Does look pretty strong in oil. Defensive names also getting a little bit of a bounce. We'll see what happens there. Walmart going higher here. As Walmart goes higher, of course, that looks for Costco to maybe bounce back towards 550s. And we can keep an eye out on a lot of these names as we're starting to get a push. BIG, Big Lots had a horrible earnings report. It don't matter. It still got the push there to 825. That's just how it goes sometimes. All right, guys, it's about 3:59. That's going to do it for me. I'm going to wrap up. Like always, you guys can catch me tomorrow morning on PreMarket Prep, and I can let you guys know. The only thing I have on for swing trade right now is American Airlines, and I'm going to keep watch to see if this move can happen tomorrow. I did take in the rally today with Sox L, looking for the technology run. You guys can always check that action out on live trading and also get a look into how I'm seeing the market at the pre-market time, right? I always like to give my outlook before that market bell rings so that you guys can understand what I'm looking at and where I'm looking for rotation. It was a really good day there for tech. It was a really good day there for the Bitcoin names. And overall, all sectors in the green and in the green from the open. We'll see what happens tomorrow. And don't miss our epic interview with, of course, Cathie Wood. You guys don't want to miss that. It's going to be a hell of an interview tomorrow. It's going to be put out at 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about what Cathie Wood and ARK Invest are looking at, you don't want to miss it. That's going to come, of course, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. I know I will be tuned in for that. We'll see what happens with ARK. ARK getting a huge lift today. Is it risk off time? Is it time to stay in, Cathie? We'll see. A lot of bottoming on this chart. Sideways action. Can we lift back through the 50? We'll find out, of course. Don't miss that. And definitely check out the interview tomorrow, of course, right here, only on Benzinga, of course. We'll see you guys, like always, right here on Start Swing Trade. Now to give you guys a little bit of the preview of what you guys will see with Cathie Wood tomorrow. I'll see you guys, like always, and hit the like on your way out.
We have a very strong point of view about what's going to happen to interest rates. For every dollar in hardware that artificial intelligence causes to be spent, there will be somewhere between $8 and $21 in software. Well, we think Cybertruck is going to expand the truck market.
All right, team, and definitely take care for all my Florida people out there. Always with you guys. Stay safe in the hurricane. I know they'll be running into me a little bit afterwards, so we'll see what happens later in the week if I run into a little bit of internet issues, but always here to battle with you guys and leave me some feedback, guys. Always reach out to me. What do you guys want to see more or less of on here? Right now, I'm working on an awesome rebrand for this show, but don't worry. It's still going to have all the good stuff. If anything, even more. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe. I'll see you guys bright and early on Pre-Market Prep, of course.